Welcome to Into the Cypher State, everyone, the premier public broadcast of Galactica Network. My handle is Citizen42.Gala within the Cypher State. You can call me Dave. And today I'm joined by my regular co-host, Cosmos Hoss, and some amazing guests as usual. So before we start, I need to give our normal disclaimer. It's very important to remember that myself and Cosmos Hoss, any team members that join us on the panel, we are your guides to navigating the Cypher State, but we are not your financial advisors. Any guest opinions are their own, and nothing said in this space constitutes financial nor investment advice. So never ask for it, we'll never give it. And if we do give it, it will be terrible, so please just don't. Okay, so now let's go through the panel. We've got some great people with us today. Firstly, Hoss, how are you doing, my friend? It's good to have you back.
Doing well, man. I'm always excited for every Tuesday to get it going and hear from, our guests and panelists. And it's kind of like this space is good for one of the reasons of most of the spaces that I'm involved with is specifically all about the tech. And not that this isn't about tech and crypto, but it's also about real issues and compliance and privacy and tools. And it's really good. And I think our other guests today resonate with that because the things that they're building and implementing in this space are much needed for everyone, really. And I'm a real big privacy advocate, so I'm really looking forward to today's topics.
Hell yeah, man. This is why I love the bear market in general, to be honest, because you can actually get hold of real people, really good builders, and actually have a decent conversation with them. And not even just on the tech either. You can actually make proper relationships and talk about the stuff that actually matters in the space. It's just a good time in general. I like bear markets. Okay, so we've got Dan from Serenity Shield. How are you doing, man?
Man, if I were any better, it'd be twins. I'm great, actually. Well, with the exception of not being able to sleep the past couple of nights, but I could totally BS you and say it's because I've been so excited about what's going on, but mostly I'm just having some issues with. I'm one of those unfortunate guys that has to use a CPAP at night, and I'm having some technical difficulties. So beyond that, I am actually very, very excited about what's going on. I'm always excited to get out here and be out in the public and talk to people about what we're doing, and just not just that, but the whole space is just, it's been, you mentioned about liking being in the bear market. I mean, when it comes to actually being able to sit down and talk and have substantive conversations about what really matters, you're absolutely right. In the bull run, everybody's so heady and everything's so crazy that nobody can make time. But now, because everybody's sitting down, we're building in the background. There's conversations to be had. There's collaborations to be developed. It is the best time in the market to be having these conversations.
100%, man, 100%, and I'm glad you're here now. We've also got Patrick from Jackal Protocol. How are you doing, Patrick? It's really good to have you up for the first time.
Yeah, no, it's first, can you hear me okay? I know my room's a little bit echoey here.
I can hear you just fine personally, yep.
Perfect. How am I doing? I guess any better, I'd be Dan. He sounds like he's having a great time over there. I'm just working away. So my name is Patrick. I'm one of the co-founders of the Jackal Protocol, and I'm CEO at Jackal Labs, where we build cybersecurity products using blockchains. And our primary product is a data storage blockchain called the Jackal Protocol, which is really low-level infrastructure to have distributed data storage, kind of like a decentralized physical infrastructure network. If we can go in a little bit into that, but really great to be here. Really great to be here with these other panelists, and it's nice to learn about Galactica. It looks really a really, really interesting application and protocol.
Thanks, man. Yeah. No, we're very thankful to have you up, mate. And yeah, I'm sure we'll be talking about Galactica. We'll be talking decentralized storage. We'll also be talking about all the latest news to even start with, so everyone's up to speed on what's going on in the space. I'd like to make sure our audience is very well informed on this space regarding just about everything everything that matters right now in the space. So yeah, that's we'll get on with it. But first, we have also my other brother. I have my first brother, Cosmos Hoss. I have my second brother, John Reynolds, who is Business Development over at Galactica Network. How you doing, John? What's up?
Hey, doing pretty good. Finally taking the time to build out my contact database for all of my crypto connections. So it's a project I've been avoiding for 5 years, but now I have actually 7, I guess. But yeah, now I have a team working on it, and we are just trying to get all 4,000 or 5,000 of these contacts in one place so that we can really start leveraging it. So bear market projects, but yeah, I agree, they are the best. It's good to not have to check the charts every 30 seconds. It's good not to wake up and feel like you're already missing out on all the alpha. There is a lot of alpha, but it's a manageable pace right now, I'll say, which always changes when the bull market gets in full swing. So double-edged sword for sure.
Yeah, what I'm liking at the moment is that all the alpha is fundamental in nature rather than just, mostly speculative hype. I'm very glad of the fundamental nature of the current space. Wonderful. That's our panel today, guys. There may well be some more people joining. And in fact, if you wish at some point during this space, you're welcome to request to speak. You will be vetted to prevent any bots coming up. If you're a bot, Cosmos Hoss will bash you on the head with a giant hammer. So don't even try. There you go, right there.
If I could actually request that we bring Justin up. He's my compatriot here. He got here a little bit late.
Of course. Hoss, can you take care of that?
Yeah, I just got him. And just for your information, I didn't hear one word John said. So sadly, I think that every time he speaks, I won't be able to hear him. Which is
John, maybe you can leave and then come back and we can get you back up. Is that going to help? I don't know.
That does work a lot of times, I found. It's always with the Wi-Fi connection. Mine's good, but maybe when he first came in, it was messing up or something. But
gotta love Elon Musk, right? Elon's the best.
They don't have enough fun.
Okay, John. Yeah, John. Cosmos Hoss can't actually hear you, mate, at all. So if you can jump down and then jump back up again, maybe we can get you back for Hoss. Okay, in the meantime, guys, everyone get comfortable and get ready to learn something, hopefully, and have a bit of fun. So if anyone listening again wants to speak, please request. You're more than welcome to come up and have a chat with us. We will be prioritizing our main speakers, but if you just have a question or something. Also, if you are new to the listener panel and you didn't hear me the first time, please take a little look down in that little purple box on the bottom right-hand side. Give us a like and a retweet on the space. It will really help us out. And give us a comment if you have any questions. Okay. Also, if you can check the pin tweet at the top, the Voyager Art campaign, if you want to get in touch, have a little go with the public DevNet of Galactica Network. It's always a good time. All right, guys, let's start off the space. So we have quite a lot of news today. A few topics, but very important ones. And firstly, in fact, I would just like to put up my condolences, my feelings, my love to people affected by Storm Harold, Storm Hillary, and think coming up Storm Franklin, about to hit the Caribbean within the next 36, 48 hours. Love and safety to our American friends and family. My American-based brothers, Hoss and John. I hope you guys are not tangled up in any of this or any of your family members. I don't know if you've got anything going on there.
I'm not affected by it, but the air quality just in general is not really good right now. I don't know if it's good anywhere, but yeah, it's sad for sure.
I didn't even know there were storms. I'm just chilling, just vibing in the New York City area.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah, Canada's on.
Yeah, Haas and I are actually in Pittsburgh, so we don't have much to worry about in terms of inclement weather coming out of the oceans. We're far enough inland that
Yeah, and it rains.
You just don't get weather.
It's like nearly impossible for there to be like a forest fire. I mean, we live in the mountains, but it like rains all the time, so it's really hard for that to happen here.
100%, yeah. Well, in any case, just love and safety to everyone involved if they are. Okay, so I guess the major point of news this week has been the meteoric rise of Friend.tech. So this new social protocol, it's a social token protocol. It's generated over $1 million in fees in just 24 hours. So that's more than Uniswap, more than Bitcoin. This thing is going a bit nuts. This is. I don't know if anyone else has been keeping up with Friend.tech. I'm sure several of the people on the panel probably have. But my understanding of it is that it is it's essentially like a mapping. It just maps users to an address on the back end, and then it applies a bonding curve to anyone who buys a stock in a person in an address. So essentially, you can buy shares in someone, in an influencer, I suppose, who wants to use this. You get access to a gated chat, but then every time someone else buys it, the price goes up because of the bonding curve. So it's an interesting mechanism. We've seen it before in the form of BitClout, if anyone remembers that one. That one was slightly different in that you couldn't withdraw, and there were all sorts of other problems with it. This one seems to be leveraging Web2 a little more in order to make sure none of those problems happen again. But it's something that I'm not a huge fan of personally, just not Galactica's point of view, but it's something I'm not a massive fan of in a personal context. So I'd just like to get some opinions to start with on Friend.tech and what you guys think. I think we'll start off with one of our new guests, Patrick. I don't know if you have any opinions on this one, mate.
Yeah, I don't know how much of a fan I am of a product like that where you're kind of buying stock in individuals. It's the question that I have is from an economics design is how do you continue to bring capital into that space? It's not. I guess it's on the influencers to continuously pump out content and bring value to those specific chats, but I wonder at what point does the value of being in a chat like that start to flip? It's an interesting model. It's kind of like OnlyFans for chats. I haven't used it personally, but it's interesting to gate content like that. But I'm also wondering where the content is stored itself. Just full disclaimer, I haven't looked into it and I don't have an account myself yet, but I'm just trying to think of the meta economic design, number one, and number two is the infrastructure design of a product like that to maintain value in whichever you're buying as a stock. So I need a little bit more information to have an informed decision.
Yeah, I mean, that's very good points and very good questions raised, to be honest. But for your context as a data storage provider, I think it's only text right now. There's no images. There's nothing else except text. So I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm not sure about the back. I'm not sure about the back. All I know from the back end is a smart contract that basically just, like I say, just maps addresses to other addresses. So I don't think it's going to be on chain. I think the front end does all this stuff.
It's a fascinating model. I'm curious how long this is going to last. I wish them all the best though at the end of the day.
Yeah, of course. Never any shade towards any builders in this space, even if they're trying something new. I'm happy for them. But yeah. So let's get some more opinions. Sorry, that's my kid in the background. Dan, what do you think, man?
I'll be honest with you. I don't know a terrible amount about it. My concern though is always with it. I mean, if you know anything about what we do over at Serenity Shield, this is my own preference as well as sort of where we come at it from a company perspective. But for me, I am much more reticent to share my information the more and more I know about digital existence, right? And so the whole idea of sharing my information, I'm not convinced that a lot of this information isn't being held in very centralized locations and in centralized ways, which makes that opens things up to some pretty significant weaknesses, especially moving forward. I mean, the whole point of this space is to get away from that sort of thing. And I'm not really saying that we need to have anonymity, but I am more concerned about security and confidentiality. And that's my big concern with any of these projects like this, where you're trying to work out some sort of social component to the blockchain.
100%. And that's one of the things that's
But
been
like I
brought
said,
up,
I
Dan.
don't know this space. I don't know this project at all well enough to have an intelligent opinion on it specifically. But that is my biggest concern.
Yeah, no worries, Dan. That's completely fair. But just again, just for your context, it basically just takes like either a phone number or it links to a Twitter account on the front end. So that's how they provide, I guess, some semblance of Sybil resistance. However, that also opens up a massive issue in that there's actually been a scraped database from some source or another of pretty much all the Friendtech users who have linked their ETH accounts to their Twitter accounts. So this is one of the ways that pseudonymity goes out the window, guys. So just be, as Dan says, be very, very careful what information you give to who, and what information you make public, and what permissions you give to what apps, because it's going to get a bit ridiculous. Because if you've got an ETH address and if you link it to your Twitter account, and then you say just about anything on Twitter that gives away your identity, your information, your location, people can link you, and especially in the age of artificial intelligence, that shit's just going to get scraped, and you will be identified immediately. So just be very careful. It's a scary kind of age, and it's only going to get worse. So don't give away your data freely. Hoss, my brother, what about you?
I haven't done. To be honest with you, I didn't do a lot of research on it. Like the positives always is potentially more people get into this space one way or another. And I think in the future and right now, a lot of times privacy is an afterthought, and it's almost like an exclusive group that actually cares about their privacy and their digital rights and their freedom and all that. Like me being one of them, I'm sure pretty much everyone in this space, and really anyone that's in Cosmos for the most part, kind of cares about their sovereignty and whatnot. So I don't know, mixed bags. I will never use it, just like I'll never use PYUSD. But I think the more ways of getting new people into the space, the better. And then it's just up for all those entities and dApps and teams and communities to kind of help them help new people in this space, and try to find a place maybe to get them over to your protocol or whatnot. But yeah, I'm not a fan of being able to link addresses and all that. I think that's one of the reasons I kind of got into the space in the first place, was having an identity but being sovereign, and not everyone knowing everything about you at every moment, and then tracing your wallet address. And like I have public addresses that I don't care really that people can see, and then I also have private addresses that it's kind of just me, and I don't want people to be like, oh, this is what he's doing, this is what he's buying, this is what like I don't see that being like a sustainable model just in general. And then I think Patrick had some good points, like where's the cliff, where's the plateau of these people putting out content and all that. I think right now Twitter X has a pretty good model of doing ad revenue shares and things like that. After, I don't know what it is. It's a pretty substantial amount of engagement that you need. Like I'm not even at that. So like it's really just for people that have been on Twitter for several years and have either had some sort of popularity before they got into this space, or some sort of celebrity, or just someone that's been super grinding in this space. But yeah, I mean, like that's kind of my thought process. Anytime there's ways for new people to get into the space, I'm all for it. But I'm all for like how do we get those people over into what we're doing?
I have a bull case actually for it, which is interesting.
Please,
I can hand the mic over. I know that in the Web2 world, the emergence of these kind of like gated groups or mastermind groups, as they call them, or courses, and that whole industry is really, really large in Web2. And I know that it does quite well, and that's why everyone's selling courses all of a sudden, or everyone's selling mastermind groups all of a sudden for specific knowledge in a specific area, right? And that's kind of the bull case that I see for a product like this, is having token gated access to a group of individuals that are all kind of working, or you want access to a group of individuals that are all kind of in a specific knowledge space, or individuals that are really adapt to specific, like a good example is, imagine myself and the guys at Serenity Shield and Greg from Akash all kind of had a group on that application where we sell access to people that are knowledgeable in decentralized physical infrastructure networks, for example. That's an area where I think that it could take off, but I don't know if that's the direction that they're going.
Yeah, like a completely networking tool. It's an interesting use case for sure. And one of the things I always ask whenever I look at a new protocol is, of course, first, why does it need to be crypto? And the answer to that is, I'm not sure exactly on this one. I think, as Hoss has said, there's 1,000 Web2 platforms that do this in one way or another, which are obviously going to be more efficient and be able to pay people a lot easier. But obviously the ownership aspect of crypto is, I guess, the main draw for this kind of thing, and maybe like the cross-border aspect. I'm not sure, but it just seems like it's an influencer, like a roundtable. Is kind of the impression I got. I did try it. I am on there on one of my private accounts, and I got bought. I got bought by like 3 people, so I'm very, very proud of myself. But yeah, it just seems like one of these things that's ideal in a bear market for the remaining influencers who are here to get together and chill together. And it's like a self-fulfilling thing where, once it gains a certain level of traction, it just goes viral because it's all about influence. It's all about, people with large accounts leveraging those accounts for views and for people buying their shares. We have John. Please, John, go ahead, mate. I've neglected you for too long.
Yeah, I just want, as like one of the people who's, I don't know, I have used it a bit. I've talked to a bunch of people. I have my own. I have some ideas for how to leverage it for some of the alpha channels that I run and that I'm a part of. But basically, to me, I see this as sort of the next stage for, celebrity culture or whatever. I think it's very important that we look beyond crypto, because this is something that is in crypto only because it's new and it's built using crypto, so we are the first people aware of it. But if you look, you will see that there's a lot of OnlyFans creators who their subscribers have already proven that they will pay to get more access to, and also video gaming professionals. So professional gamers are also leveraging this because people, will pay Twitch streamers just like they'll pay OnlyFans content creators. And those are, we are slowly working our way up the celebrity food chain, so to speak. And I just think this is another way of leveraging and financializing a attention economy. And I think it's also important to understand that, like, this is literally the first version of this app. Like, it's not even an app. It's, it's really just a website that's optimized for your phone, which I think is also brilliant, because it's a way of getting around the gatekeepers at Apple in the app stores. So I think that it's a primitive. It's a very good primitive, though, because the bonding curve, makes it so that if somebody wants to buy 1,000 shares of somebody, they're going to be bidding against themselves. And so I tried this the other day. I bought 5 shares of myself, and it went from like 0.00007 all the way to finally be like 0.01 or whatever, which is a, I don't know, 15x increase. And yeah, it's interesting to have, 2 tiers of access to people, basically. The tier of people who do not have a key, now they call it, because shares are too obviously securities terms. And, so the people who don't have it and the people who do have it. And so now there's just another way of signifying, your values, your interests, your intentions, and spending your money as a way of doing that. And the main difference now is that you are owning that affinity, you are owning that share, so you have the ability to resell it for potentially a higher price. And the person whose affinity you own is benefiting financially from that because they are collecting a portion of the fees. I think it's 5% of all transaction fees go to the owner, 5% goes to the Friend Tech team. So this is everyone's like, oh, this is a flash in the pan. It's like, yeah, this is a flash in the pan with crypto. But can you imagine like real estate people getting a hold of this? Like, OnlyFans, video gaming, all that stuff. But I have friends who have also, who run funds, and they post their positions there, and they post their research there, and there is real, value to this. It's just up to us and up to the rest of the world to figure out like how to leverage it. But I think the rails are solid. I think it's hilariously bad that they don't have a privacy policy in place. It literally just says like coming soon. So yeah, serious concerns, but whatever. Like personally, yeah, I basically probably burned, a wallet or two to fund it. But what's important to understand also is that they are creating a wallet for you, and they're creating a wallet for you on Base. So they're directly onboarding users into, the layer 2 ecosystems, which to me is really important. That's something Haas said as well. Totally agree. But yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic on it as someone who's used it and really thought about how to leverage it from a business and networking perspective.
How are the fees on there?
The fees are non-existent. Like there are fees, but it's I think 0.0001. 0.0001. I don't know. I don't want to get it wrong.
No, yeah, it's basically just like an L2.
Well, it is an L2. Yeah, it's on Base, which is a Optimism stack chain. So yeah, I mean it's it's not perfect, but it's pretty great.
That's good.
Okay, so mixed opinions. We're going to have to see how this one turns out. And maybe from what I'm hearing, the front end has a lot of questions. The back end maybe has more promise as just a bunch of smart contracts, I guess. We'll have to see if anyone else spins up something more even better.
And then
you know what? I think that if I can jump in here, I think it's, to get back to a point that we were talking about earlier, I think these conversations are important to be had right now, precisely because during a bull run, we don't ever stop, take a breath, take our time to scrutinize projects. Okay. I mean, I know I didn't. Now, obviously, I'm older, more mature now in the space, and I have a little bit more perspective on how things should be done here than when I first got in, and hopefully we all do. But I think at the end of the day, it's just us asking these questions is going to be beneficial because right now when we started, we only had 5 or 6 people in here. Now we've got 20 people or so. And I'm sure that there will be a whole lot of other people who are going to be listening to this on the back end. And what this does is it helps us to provide that sort of education and outreach. And it's not about providing the necessary information for people to make a decision about whether they want to get involved with this project. It's more about providing people a way to understand how to break down these projects, how to think about them, the questions that we need to be asking about them. And these are important. We don't do this when everybody's throwing money at everything. So let me just take a moment and say thank you for creating a space for allowing us to do this, because this is exactly what we've been needing. No bullshit, no moon boy behavior here. It's all about just asking the questions that need to be asked, and I think there's a value to that. So.
Well, thank you very much, Dan. You're quite right. I think, again, as we said at the beginning of this space, we intend to educate on this space. We intend to invite people who can provide value and who can educate people who decide to listen. And if we can, like Dan says, if we can arm people who are listening to our stream with the ability to perform basic due diligence before the market hype comes back, I think that's a massive value add for everyone involved. So yeah, I think that's a great point. And also, it's brought by Dan, one of our two special guests today, and we currently have two of the juggernauts of decentralized storage, especially within the Cosmos network, with us today. So I'd very much like to get onto the topic of that. But before we do, I'd just like to invite everyone who is listening to us right now. As Dan rightly said, there's quite a few more people in here now. If you could just do us a favor, jump down into the bottom right-hand button of the space, give us a like and a retweet on the space. It would massively help us out, get us a lot more listeners on the recording. And we've been having loads and loads more people listening to the recording lately. We've got hundreds of people listening to it on the recording now, so it's absolutely wonderful to see. It means people care, it means we're getting the right content out. So I'm very happy about that. Okay, guys. Dan, Patrick, we're going to put you in a cage match to decide who gets to go first. I'm obviously just kidding, being just in jest, but we will, in fact, put you in a cage match regardless when we can. But for now, we're going to start with Patrick from Jackal Protocol. If we can just start off with a bit of an introduction, so we kind of have a bit more of an overview of what Jackal Protocol does and maybe educate us a little, that would be great. So yeah, if you can take it away, that'd be good.
Yeah, 100%. So what Jackal is, it's an infrastructure. It's not really a product. So the infrastructure that we provide is we have a layer 1 Cosmos blockchain. And the unique thing about the Jackal protocol is it has two peer-to-peer networks. One is the validators of the blockchain, where they manage the tokens, they manage the file trees associated with your storage, they manage the incentives for the storage providers, they manage all kinds of different things, and they just kind of run like a traditional blockchain validator network. They're just validating a lot more stuff, storage proofs and storage contracts and that kind of stuff. The second peer-to-peer network is a peer-to-peer network of data storage providers. So these are machines that are purpose-built for data storage. And I know that there's actually some people in the listening right now that are storage providers to the Jackal protocol. So that's kind of what we do is we have a decentralized physical infrastructure network that provides storage space to users, and users purchase storage space from the Jackal protocol directly. Things that are unique from the Jackal protocol to other storage protocols, you can think of Filecoin or Arweave or Storj. What makes Jackal special is we have completely on-chain storage permissions. So this means that when you have a storage account, all the files and everything from that sense is actually managed by the blockchain directly, which increases cybersecurity posture, digital privacy posture, all that good stuff. And the cool thing about Jackal is you can send petabytes of data storage anywhere on the world in 6 seconds by sharing access to one of your files on your file tree with another user completely on chain, just using public keys and private keys. So there's no emails, no phone numbers, no nothing. It's just a really secure storage network and storage management network and all that good stuff. So other things that are special about Jackal is it's the only proof of stake storage network right now. It is the only storage network with on-chain permissions, as I mentioned. It has, and it's the only storage network with privacy by default, with encryption that is managed by the protocol directly. So only the end user with the private keys can access their files. So we think we built a pretty cool thing, and we're really excited to continue to bring it to market and get more unique terabytes on this storage network as soon as possible.
Man, this is why I love the bear market again, guys. You know, you get to talk to people who are building stuff that you just didn't know about before, and I'm very happy to hear it. That's awesome, Patrick. So Dan, same question, man. Can you just give us a bit of an overview of Serene?
Sure. Well, you know, to be honest, Justin's actually the more technical of us. I would definitely defer to him in terms of describing the ins and outs of actually how everything works. He sounds much better doing that than I do. So, and I'd like to actually bring him up anyway, because I'd like to get him introduced to everybody as well.
Yeah, I think Cosmos Sauce brought him up. So Justin, please, man. Hi.
Hey, oh, sure, yeah. Hey, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Hope you can hear me. Just to give you the 30,000 foot view of what Serenity Shield is all about, we are essentially using blockchain to solve a blockchain problem where everybody here has a seed phrase, and I'm sure everybody here has at least one, if not multiple, paper wallets scattered about their property, in their walls, wherever, hidden away and squirreled. What Serenity Shield is doing is bringing blockchain power, security, and storage to everyday users so that we can ditch the paper wallets, we can ditch the hardware cold wallets, and you can actually use blockchain to back up any digitized documents that you want to protect. And that is not limited just to seed phrases, although that is where we're starting because we are serving a blockchain space with our flagship Strongbox product. But anything that you can digitize can be saved, backed up, recalled, and even left in inheritance to a nominee of your choosing, just in case, the unforeseen happens and you unexpectedly pass away. And how many stories we've heard about people who have died with their, Bitcoin seed phrases locked down somewhere that nobody knows where they exist, let alone throwing away a hard drive with it on it. So the design of our Strongbox product is basically a dApp that looks like any app you would ever use in Web 2.0. I actually say it looks a lot like a sexier QuickBooks. You connect with your MetaMask or Trust Wallet or anything that runs on BNB chain. You set up an account for yourself that gives you access to your dashboard, and from there you're free to create as many Strongboxes as you want. And personally, for me, my use case when we first do go to mainnet is going to just be backing up my seed phrases for various wallets and projects that I believe in, so I can get rid of the paper wallet and maybe grow some of my hair back in the process. But I do intend to use it for things like digitized wills and deeds to property, and whatever you would maybe consider leaving to a loved one when you do die. Something like the Strongbox solution by our Serenity Shield allows us to empower our users to regain complete sovereignty and ownership over what is theirs and deem what they want to leave to who and when and to what degree when they pass, without having to involve any third-party intermediaries such as attorneys, or go to the court system, or deal with families being angry that they weren't left the right thing and tying things up in court. This is essentially like if I say my name is Justin and I want to leave half a Bitcoin to my wife and I die, the half Bitcoin goes to my wife through the smart contract that was set up when I created my Strongbox. So it's like a direct interaction with people to blockchain.
And that's something I personally and Galactica Network as a project can resonate with hugely. Justin, that's really well said. I think all of us here on the stage need to have get together, have a little some asynchronous chat, because I think there's a lot we can do together as far as that stuff goes. Especially
if I could jump in.
Yeah, Dan.
If I could jump in on the back of that, actually, because, and this is why I brought Justin on, because he is very good at breaking this down to brass tacks. But one of the things that he didn't mention, and I've sort of alluded to it previously, we have a major dedication to educating our community. A little bit of background for the project. The origin of our project is literally a group of people that got together at the mid to late part of the last bull run to sort of watch each other's backs, work on providing some analysis, and to be honest with you, emotional support on dealing with the trials and tribulations that we all go through when the bull market is in full swing. And one of the things that we notice is that there's just a decided lack of education. And so one of the things that, not only are we a community-driven project with that sort of perspective informing and inspiring us to provide the sort of solution that we would want to have had earlier in our blockchain careers, but more important than that, we're also trying to provide a groundwork for providing education for the space, both the user end, but also we're trying to help develop it from the ground up on the technical end. So I think it's really important to understand that the tech is awesome. Don't get me wrong, but it's not just about what the tech can do. It's about what we can do for one another, and that's one of the things that I think we don't talk enough about. We have to work as a community, like we've been talking about this entire conversation. You know, the bear market is when you build, but the bear market is also about building uh, relationships and community so that we can take care of one another when the worm turns and things are going all crazy. Um, that for me has been the most important aspect of everything that we do. Yes, the tech is going to be there, but at the end of the day, if we're not doing the things for our community and for the rest of the blockchain community that we need, at the end of the day, it's all for naught. And the big boys are going to come in and they're going to command the heights, and they're going to call the tune as far as how things develop. So, sorry if I seem a little bit long-winded about that, but I think it's something that it goes unspoken too often, and I think that we'd be good to emphasize that from time to time.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more, Dan. Education is absolutely paramount in this space. There's not enough of it, and when it is available, not enough people use it. So anytime we can highlight it, we will. That's one of the foundational pillars of Galactica Network. In fact, is both the educational aspect, as you can tell by the Twitter Spaces we try and host, but also the social aspect. We're actually building a social first blockchain. It's actually having identifiable people not only transacting with their finances, with their money, with their tokens, but also with their reputation. Based on their reputation. So you can have completely non-financial transactions if you want as well, and build DAOs that aren't just token gated, whales win clubhouses. You can have all sorts of new paradigms that are social in nature rather than financial. There's an awful lot of things that we can export in that regard as well to other projects and blockchains, especially within Cosmos with the IBC and the ease of interoperability. We can provide a reputational framework to the entirety of the Cosmos ecosystem if we want. It's going to be an interesting thing, and I'm personally really looking forward to it. So yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, it's fine to absolutely fine to highlight these things, and it is very important. I agree. So yeah, I would like to. I'm curious, very curious. So, what would be your favorite? So, what would be two things? What's the best use case for decentralized storage, and what's your favorite use case for decentralized storage? If if indeed they are different in your opinion, maybe we can start with Patrick on that one.
Yeah, it's really interesting. There's the thing about the Jackal protocol doesn't really discriminate on the data that is stored, right? So the thing that we're most interested on is how we've been interviewing a lot of different industries and trying to find product market fit for different use cases. In Web3, the predominant goal that we have is to decentralize the storage layer of the blockchain ecosystem in the first place. Currently, almost all data stored, well, let's talk about how data stored using blockchains, number one. So most blockchains have the ability to store metadata of different things, but at scale, blockchains can really only store about a kilobyte of data at scale. And what this means is that if you have a piece of data that's round larger than the size of a tweet, then you're going to want to employ a off-chain storage network or layer. And predominantly what that has been recently has been Amazon AWS S3 environments, or Microsoft Azure environments, or Alibaba cloud environments, depending on where you are in the world. And this is kind of a really big issue when it comes to managing data that has to be stored off-chain, but still want to tie it to blockchains. So use cases that I look at in the Web3 ecosystem for data storage, where they have really large data sets, is NFT marketplaces, for example, where you're looking at JPEGs that have to be stored somewhere. And it's kind of interesting during our interviews in the bear market, NFTs start to disappear because people forget to pay the storage environment, such as the S3 environment, or another situation where the NFT media files actually get lost because of the situation, because the JPEGs aren't actually stored on chain. They're just mapped to chain using IPFS usually. But the data still has to be stored somewhere. So that's an interesting one. Video, decentralized music applications, decentralized social applications, decentralized data marketplaces. We've seen a few of those that have popped up where you're trying to monetize data sets by using paywalls, using blockchain technology. Those are all the interesting use cases that we look at in the Web3 space. But the thing that's really important to us at Jackal is trying to get Web2 data onto Web3. So we're looking at things right now that is CCTV camera footage. We're looking at things right now where you have really large data sets that you're trying to transfer between two parties. And since we're on blockchain, it's really good at transferring access to things, right? So you can send, the beauty of blockchain is you can send as much money anywhere in the world in about 6 seconds using a proof of stake blockchain. And we can do that as well when it comes to access to large data sets. So you can think about merger and acquisitions. You can think about secure transfer of data for military use cases. The possibilities are really endless in that space. So use cases, obviously, we love to work with NFT companies and people that are working chain state backups, all that good stuff. But for this to be successful, we have to get Web2 data onto Web3. And there's one more piece that I think is important to add is why would someone want to use a blockchain-based data storage system versus a traditional data storage system? And it's a really fair question to ask. Number one is pricing, right? So since Jackal Labs and our team that builds the Jackal protocol, we actually don't run any storage systems. So people we have a bunch of data centers that have idle servers that want to hook into the network. We have a bunch of individuals that run servers in their basement and they just want to rent out storage space where they host encrypted data on. And price is a big thing. The other thing that's really interesting is cybersecurity and privacy posture, where the only way in and out of that data is private keys, which is not your keys, not your crypto, but it's also not your keys, not your data in this situation. So cybersecurity posture, privacy posture, and price are the three reasons why blockchain-based data storage, or blockchain-based data storage specifically, is important. And I feel like I started to ramble a little bit there, but feel free to kind of give any follow-up questions if you have any.
That's absolutely fine, Patrick. Really, like I say, I'm not the most up to date or educated on decentralized storage. I'm learning all the way. It's great. So maybe Dan or Justin, I don't know. Maybe if you have, like, obviously Patrick's described quite a few use cases of decentralized storage there, but maybe you have a favorite or something that you believe maybe he's missed, or something you can provide that's different.
I'll let Justin go ahead because I talk too damn much.
Well, no, I mean, all good. Everything that Patrick said, I can't agree with more. And then I think I would just add to it and say that anytime a user is able to store whatever they want is probably the best use case, because when we're really thinking about moving toward an environment of mass adoption, the easiest way to allow people to adopt your protocol or your dApp built on whatever number of layers of blockchain is that they can do what they want. So if we give them sovereignty and autonomy over it, and there's limited barriers of entry in terms of like hoops to jump through or gatekeepers for what you are able to store, then that to me is the best use case of data storage. So I guess I would just give the all-encompassing everything. And I always like to temper that with saying, to call back to how we're speaking about bear markets are for building and bear markets are for these kinds of conversations. I think we will see over the next 5 years a shift where even bull markets are for building and for utility and being focused on education and conversations like this. And you'll see that utility will win out, and hype projects that do come up overnight with no specific use case or no reliable or scalable or sustainable use case will just disappear as a flash in the pan. But when blockchain is boring, And when I say boring, when I say when blockchain can be the thing that replaces Google Cloud and AWS, and people are using it without knowing that they're using it, similar to how we're using cell phones right now to talk over X about these pretty lofty concepts. Like, we're just doing it, and it's boring, and it's everyday use, and that's mass adoption, and that's where we need to be focused on. So I guess that's a long roundabout way to say that when the tech is boring as hell, that nobody really cares about it anymore, that's going to be the best use case, not just for data, but for the space as a whole.
100%, Justin. I really couldn't agree more. And I'm seeing less degeneracy. I'm seeing less volatility and less degeneracy in almost every sense of both of those words. Like, if you've been around long enough, you know that the volatility and the degeneracy has generally got less every time, every cycle. And right now, I think, like you say, we are heading into a more fundamental age for blockchain, and I am here for it. I'm very happy to be building in this particular point where people are starting to understand, like, we've built out the greatest financial rails in history. Now we need to enhance those financial rails with the more human and the data side of things. So we can self-sovereignly hold our financial assets. We need to be able to self-sovereignly hold our data, everything that is us. So yeah, I couldn't agree more. Well said. I'm just going to ask Hoss or John. I don't know if you have any specific questions you want to ask before I carry on with my little thoughts, my little ramblings.
Yeah. So one of the questions that one of the speakers asked earlier is, in evaluating projects and crypto projects, et cetera, is like, why does this need to be crypto? And I understand the benefits of, leveraging things like IPFS or Filecoin's storage or other decentralized storage solutions. I've looked into it and understand that the pricing can be a huge motivating thing. But what I'm trying to understand for Jackal specifically is why there needs to be a token as opposed to, just using traditional tech solutions. That's really one of the things that I think the listeners would be interested in. And is this something that if I were to buy, I could retire on? Obviously not looking for financial advice, but does it accrue any value?
I need an alarm. I need like an alarm button.
but like,
thank you, Hoss. Thank you.
Oh yeah, Hoss is in the trenches getting us the sound bites. But no, I mean, what is the point of the token? I think the Jackal token would be should be a relatively easy question.
It's a really good question, and to answer that is, I wish we didn't have to have a token actually, but we were kind of pushed towards actually having to have one for a number of different reasons. So why would we want to use blockchain technology for a storage protocol like this? The primary reason is the cybersecurity and privacy posture. So when you look at blockchain, we say, what are the core values of blockchain in itself? It's self-custody, it's ownership, it's having no one can take away my things. It's all those very specific, a lot of them are kind of libertarian values. I see them more as a cybersecurity and privacy value. But those are the reasons why we had to have a token, because to have self-custodial ownership of your data in a way like this, or have the ability to peer-to-peer transfer your data anywhere in the world with only you and the other party on the other side have access to that file, those are the core things that we needed to have a token for. And why do we need to have a token? Is to incentivize the validators. So to have validators running the distributed ledger associated with the files. Also having the validators incentivize the storage providers for managing storage contracts. So it's an incentive mechanism. It's also the ability to have self-custody and ownership of your data. So those are the two reasons why it's important for us to have a token. I wish we could do it without a token. And believe it or not, the reason why we built this is before we got into building Jackal, we were working in digital forensics and investigations, where we were trying to build an e-discovery tool for court to track and trace files across a network. And we were trying to find a storage layer that would act as a clean forensic environment where no third party has access to that file that can kind of corrupt that clean forensic environment, basically. And that's what led us to actually build a product like this. is to have that security posture where only the end user with their private key has access, or whoever they choose to share it with. Does that answer the question? I'd love
So
follow-up
it
questions.
answers part of it. I mean, the encryption and stuff is always 100%. But for me, I still don't understand why, and I might have just missed this, but that all works with an encryption hash, right? Like that works with a signature from a private key. Yeah, it's good to have it tied to like a ledger wallet or whatever. But I don't necessarily understand why there needs to be a token, like a value layer on top of that security layer.
Yeah. So here's the thing is the Jackal, we're going to get really technical here. So the Jackal has something called the proof of persistence protocol. So in a traditional layer, say, okay, you have encryption, you have this distributed, you have this ability to have public and private keys in the Web2 environment, but your data has to still be stored somewhere. And if that data center, let's say, flooded, or that data center, they decide, actually, you know what, you don't deserve to have data stored here, so we're going to unplug our machines or kick you off the system. That's something that you can't do with the Jackal protocol because of something called the proof of persistence protocol. So every file that's stored on Jackal is kicked out to 3 storage providers that have to be incentivized to store those files. But let's say that one of the storage providers wants to unplug their system. And that means that now, like I only have 2 times redundancy. Let's say all 3 decide to unplug their system. Now you don't have any redundancy and your files are gone. We have a system called proof of persistence. So every X amount of blocks, the storage providers have to call into the validator set to prove that they have all the files that they're supposed to have in exchange for the reward for running that system. So for us to have a self-custodial and distributed environment where you have geo-distributed data storage and you have redundancy and you have this ability to be extremely resilient from cyber attacks and all kinds of other different attacks in that sense, is that in the event that one of your storage providers goes down, that contract is broken and it's rebuilt with another provider somewhere else in the world to ensure that you always have 3 times redundancy. I hope we're tracking in the right direction here, but it's 2 reasons. We need to incentivize both the validators and the storage providers to run this decentralized storage network where only the end user has access to it, but also there's no centralized entity that's in charge of storing that data. So it's the only agreement is between the code and the end user. So the protocol, like we can't kick someone off our own protocol. It's the nature of building that storage layer is the reason why we need to have the token. Is to incentivize the storage providers, is to manage the file trees by the validators. It's also to ensure that files can be persistent and stay online no matter what happens to a specific geographical location or a specific data center. Am I tracking in the right direction? We can kind of get a little bit deeper.
Yeah. No, that was the incentivization is really the stuff that I was trying to figure out. Okay, cool. Haas, you can.
And I apologize if you already went into this, Patrick, but I always think it's like useful for people to understand the difference of what you're doing and like IPFS. Like, what's the difference? Like, what's the main driver? Like, what separates your storage solution compared to just like a typical storage solution out there?
Yeah. So, well, let's look at IPFS first. So IPFS isn't a storage layer; it's a discovery layer that uses distributed hash tables. Jackal also uses something similar, but what IPFS is it's a discovery layer of files. So it indexes files by ID rather than indexing by location, which is pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, but there's no incentive layer to actually store files on IPFS. So you still need to store it somewhere. So most of the files stored on IPFS are stored on Amazon servers or Microsoft servers through something like Pinata, for example, where they store your file there and they pin it to IPFS. So it's discoverable by the network and people can go and get those files. But there's no persistence there and there's no incentive. Essentially, unless you're paying a centralized entity to store that file, then people are just kind of doing it out of the goodness of their heart. And that's kind of where we see NFT files disappear, for example. Other things is there's no permissions with IPFS or Filecoin or Arweave. So the permission system is really important with Jackal, where you actually have file permissions of who has access to it and who can view it. On the other storage layers, everything's public by default, which is great for their use case, which is predominantly like archives and NFT storage and things along those lines. But we're looking for more of a higher security and privacy posture associated with the data storage. So number one is it's an incentive layer. So files are stored where they're not going to go anywhere, and our network makes sure that they don't go anywhere. And number two is actually having privacy and having encryption and having permissions. So these are kind of all the things that weren't really able to do before when the other storage networks were being built, predominantly because they were working on proof of work blockchains and it wasn't fast enough to have a permission system. Also, it's like file retrieval. Jackal's hot storage, where most other storage networks are cold storage. So like on Filecoin, for example, if I store a file on Filecoin, it's usually for archives or putting files to rest for a really long time. If I want to get that file back, we're looking at about 24 hours to get that file back from the Filecoin network on average, because they have to do like this whole process of kind of getting the file, unpacking the file, and then delivering it back to the user. Jackal, it's instant. So we just kind of have a little bit of a last mover's advantage in that sense, where we're just building with modular blockchains and proof of stake and the Cosmos SDK and all that stuff.
Patrick, I just want to say thank you. You've educated me greatly just in the few minutes that you've been speaking. So thank you very much for that, and also very thorough answering. Now, firstly, I would very much like to just do a very quick reset of the space. Guys, I see we've got some new listeners. If you could jump down into the comment section below, give us a like and a retweet on the space. We are trying to provide education here, and I believe with the current panelists, we are very much succeeding. So if you could give us a like and a retweet, get this space out to more people live, and indeed get more people on the recording, that would be absolutely fantastic. I really appreciate everything, the questions that have been asked by John and Hoss, and the answers that have been given by Patrick. So I'm going to move it over to Dan very quickly and ask a very simple and fundamental question. Why did you decide to build on Cosmos? Just out of curiosity.
Well, technically, I mean, look, Cosmos has shown a pretty clear indication that they that there's an appreciation for privacy and data sovereignty from literally day one. And a bit of a clarification, we're actually built more on fundamentally on secret network, and the nature of our project is fundamentally to protect that data. And so that means that we need that sort of privacy by design from a first step. And that, I think, is what really brought us to that. So ultimately, it was through Secret Network that got us to Cosmos. But I've always been a fan of the ecosystem. It's strong, it's robust, it's got a very large and growing community. And what we've noticed as we've gone to some of these, so I was at ETH Denver, for example, but we've been at a number of other conventions and conferences and whatnot. What I've noticed is that Cosmos routinely has some of the most active participants, active community, and the most serious, intellectually, there's an awareness there of what we're trying to do. It's not just, ooh, this is new technology, we need to keep doing it just for the sake of it being new. There's an end point, there's an end goal, rather, I should say. There's an end goal of providing as much value to the end user, and ultimately, I think that's very valuable to everybody. And I'm not one of these people. I'm not a Bitcoin maxi or anything maxi, to be honest. I think that at the end of the day, the cryptocurrency market, the blockchain community is going to be sort of a heterodox set of solutions that we're going to have to learn how to play well together. And I think that above all, that's what I've seen at Cosmos is that there is this incredible willingness, and not just willingness, but an excitement to try to bridge these differences and come to some sort of um, to borrow a phrase, a consensus solution to what we're trying to do. And I think ultimately that's good for everybody.
Well said. Well said. I think principled is the way that I generally describe the Cosmos ecosystem, because I agree. We have found in our experience, even as a new protocol, we've only just kind of really started spreading our feelers out to the ecosystem, looking for partners and all that kind of thing. But every single person we've interacted with has been principled, and they've been, everyone seems to want to uphold the tenets of the industry, like as put down 15 years or more ago. And it's a great set of people. These again, like you say, they're very serious. They're real builders, and I absolutely love that. As far as the kind of interoperability stuff you kind of touched on there as well. Like I also agree. This is not a one protocol wins all. That's not blockchain. That's not the way it is. In fact, Galactica Network itself is kind of in its founding papers that we've written. We believe that it's in our we call it a cipher state. Other people will call it other things, such as network states and all sorts of other things. But the general idea is that Galactica Network might be a cipher state, and then there might be another protocol, or all the other protocols on perhaps in the Cosmos ecosystem may well be some form of network state or cipher state as well, if they include people. And then all these network states will be interoperable due to, obviously on Cosmos it will be very easy due to the IBC, but also we're interoperable with every other ecosystem that allows interoperability. So it's not a one protocol wins all. That's all I'm trying to get down to, I think. In our industry at all, we all need to work together and do what we do best, and just import what we don't do best if we can. Patrick, my friend, how do you why exactly did you start building on Cosmos? If indeed you did start building on Cosmos, if I haven't got that wrong as well.
Yeah, no, we started building this e-discovery tool for court use on Polygon, and we built that out first, and that was our first kind of endeavor into the blockchain space, other than kind of working on crypto asset recovery and stuff like that when we were in our previous life, I guess is the way to put it. So that's kind of how we got involved with blockchain, and then we started building on the application layer of the secret network, and our initial idea was we wanted to build, we didn't want to build an L1 blockchain. We wanted to kind of use the path of least resistance to a product that would work for our use case. We're kind of scratching our own itch there. So we built on the secret network, and then we were going to use Filecoin for cold storage, and then we were going to make a peer-to-peer network in between for caching to make things speedy and having that wrap privacy. For our use case, on Jackal with our kind of decentralized infrastructure network, is we have a lot of transactions on Jackal because we have to submit these storage proofs and having verifiability and all that stuff. And also when you store a file, it got really expensive for our use case, just specifically the decentralized physical infrastructure network use case on the secret network. I still think it's a great use case for the guys at Serenity Shield and what they're building. But the issue is that the gas fees got really expensive for us, because the secret network is really great at what it does, and it has general privacy using their trusted execution environments with the Intel chips. I don't know if they're switching to new chips. I haven't been there for about a year, but basically they're really great at having general privacy, But for our use case, it was a little bit too expensive to use the gas fees over there, and it started to really bloat as the files got bigger and all that good stuff. So what we did is we sacrificed general privacy for specific privacy, where the token balances in your wallet are public, how much storage you purchase from the network is public, but we are able to layer on our own encryption to make sure all the files are private, the file trees are private, the who has ownership of what files are private. So that's kind of where we had to sacrifice general privacy for specific privacy there. So we moved to build our own application-specific blockchain, and the reason why we stayed in the Cosmos ecosystem is we think that this is the best tech stack for a modular blockchain. We think it's extremely advanced in the different ways that it does have, and we needed to craft a blockchain that is tailored to the use case of data storage, which is something that you can't really do on Ethereum. I know with EigenLayer, you're starting to able to kind of build more blockchains that are, like, not blockchains, but kind of build apps that are a little bit more tailored there. But we needed to alter the blockchain modules at its core to provide the best user experience and best product possible. So there's not really many places in blockchain you can do that. So that's kind of how we landed in the Cosmos ecosystem. And then another side note is we had to kind of build a vertically integrated storage layer as well, because Filecoin, for their use case, awesome for archives, but not really awesome for an active cloud hot storage environment. So we had to kind of move everything into our own storage layer as well. So a number of different things. It's been a long road for us. We kind of started in November of 2021, and that doesn't really, I guess it's not that long ago, but it feels like eons when you're building the space, that's for sure.
100%. It's absolutely amazing how the time flies. So yeah, I mean, like, I think it is that combination, isn't it? It's that reliability, the interoperability, and the modularity is just it's just almost impossible to beat.
The interoperability point that you just kind of pointed out is the IBC stuff is nuts. It's absolutely bananas. Where you want to think about a product, like an idea like this, where you have say you have a smart contract over on the Archway ecosystem and you want to have access to the Jackal Protocol storage layer. Using IBC and interchain accounts, you can have smart contracts that control storage accounts themselves, and that unlocks, I can't even fathom the different opportunities that unlocks, where you can have really smart contracts that have access to petabytes of data storage. It's pretty nuts without ever having to leave the blockchain ecosystem. That's really fascinating to me. Also, other things like account abstraction, where you can have smart contracts that are kind of like, I guess, Web3 APIs, basically, that you like throw files at the smart contract, and the smart contract stores it automatically on your behalf. So the ease of integrations is getting really, really good, really, really fast using this tech stack. I couldn't be more happy.
Yeah, my goodness, account abstraction is going to be absolutely crazy. I would just like to, because I'm just conscious of the fact that I've realized just how late it's got without me even realizing. So it's been too good of a conversation, guys. Well done. So you kind of touched on that there, guys. Patrick, about the privacy and identity. That was kind of my last kind of topic of concern for everyone. So maybe you can actually start us off with that, and then we'll go over to Dan to finish us off, or to Justin, whoever wishes to speak. Yeah, I mean, just in a general sense, how do you guys deal with privacy and identity when dealing with decentralized data storage? I'm not a huge, again, I'm not hugely up to date on decentralized storage in general, so I'd love to learn. And we're big on privacy and identity, so it links into Galactica quite nicely.
Yeah, so pretty much for us, everything for identity is managed by the protocol, in the sense that we have our public and private keys. So that's the only identity that we have on the Jackal protocol. I am aware that's kind of a double-edged sword at the same time, right? Where I think it's important for compliance, and if we want to get use cases that we've been looking at, like large CCTV camera footage, or even like storing government archives for various governments in the world and all that kind of good stuff, is we need more compliance in that sense, and we need a way to kind of gauge that using on-chain identifiers. Right now, we have a very, very basic name service, which is like really the only identifier that we have right now, but we are aware that there's a very, very large gap in trying to create compliant identity on chain for specific use cases. So right now for us, we're kind of wide open. We only really have public and private keys on Jackal, and the only identity that you have is your wallet address.
Okay, understood. Oh, well, that's something we definitely need to talk between ourselves about then. One of the primary aspects of Galactica Network, one of the first things we wanted to achieve was something we've termed private compliance. And that's the ability to be private, be self-sovereign, be just comply with all the tenets of cryptocurrency while still enabling you to have a verifiable identity. And it's obviously that includes any KYC providers off chain and all this stuff, still maintaining your privacy there, and having them unable to actually identify you on chain through your blockchain address. So it's I think again, I've said it before. I think both Serenity Shield and Jackal, I think we all need to have a bit of a chat. Yeah, Dan, or Justin, same question, guys. I mean, how do you guys deal with identity and privacy, or one or the other?
So we like to say that the difference between privacy and secrecy is that a user should have access to privacy. That should be a human right, but secrecy isn't necessarily anything that our protocol is really trying to push. We want people to have ownership of their data and privacy of the ownership of their data, but we also want them to be, law-abiding and within at least like the realms of human decency, acting within our protocol and like what they're storing on our systems. So what we try to do is the best of both worlds, where we do have a system in place. When you open up your account, you save your first and last name and your cell phone number so that you can recover your data if you do lose access to a wallet. But beyond that, we use smart contracts on Secret Network to cloak all the data that anybody is storing. So Serenity Shield never knows what you're putting in there, but we do know the users that will be using the protocol to make sure that, as I said, like if they were to lose their phone or something like that, they can actually gain access to the data that they stored on the DApp. When they get their phone back, they might not have access to their wallets. Maybe they didn't write down their seed phrases, but if they saved them in a Strongbox, they can recover them. We also use a 3-part NFT key solution to keep the Strongbox locked up. And we're working with Findora and their Prism++ technology to make sure that when the NFTs are issued to our users, they are anonymous NFTs. What we want to do is, or the last thing we want to do, is invite users to make targets of themselves, because if people know that people are storing valuable things in Strongboxes, and then they could look at the ledger and start to see what NFTs are being minted and what wallets they're going to, then that's obviously prime pickings for phishing attacks. So we're doing our best to respect the sovereignty of our users while also allowing the option for them to recover their data should they lose it, and then also to keep them protected on chain while they are using the product. But at no time does Serenity Shield have any idea or access. Like, we have no idea about what you're storing. We have no access over what you're storing. We can help you recover access for yourself to what you deem important that's stored in a Strongbox. But, we don't have any control over it. So as much hands-off as possible, programmatically dictated everything. We're trying to, program everything to be run from the smart contract level, so there's no human intervention at any point. So I know this was a weird answer, but it's a very complicated question, something we take seriously and we talked about for about the last year and a half. How do you serve a market that puts privacy above everything else, but do it in a way that doesn't harm anybody or put anybody at risk at the same time? It's tricky, but it's something that we're open to trying to solve.
No doubt at all. No doubt at all. And these are incredibly tricky questions that we've, again, at Galactica Network, we've been planning for the last 2 years, trying to get to some kind of equilibrium on all these things. it's a tough one. No one gets it exactly right. But hopefully together we can come up with a solution that works for everyone in some way or another. Yeah, guys, it's that was absolutely fantastic answering. So I would just like to kind of slowly wind down. I'd like to start maybe with Patrick. Can you kind of maybe give our listeners, in fact, you know what, first, listeners who are listening, please, if you don't mind, just jump into the comment section and give us a like and a retweet. Please, I'm begging you, please. It will really help get the recording out to more people, and we are doing a very good job of educating right now. I can tell that we're providing a great deal of value. So please just give us the like, give us the retweet. It will help us immeasurably. Doesn't cost you anything, as Cosmos Host likes to say. So please, if you can. Again, the one little question I'd like to ask, guys. So Patrick, can you just give our listeners maybe the alpha on any current campaigns you might be running at Jackal, or simply how best to get involved with your project? Either or is fine. Just a bit more that we can get our users involved with.
Yeah, the best way to kind of get involved with Jackal is try it out, right? So you can go to our website. Oh my goodness, my brain just completely fell apart right there. It's jackalprotocol.com, one word, Jackal Protocol. From there, you can go and you're going to need Jackal tokens. You can get those on Osmosis or Crescent, or Shade Swap is another one, and I think also Astrovault is the other 4 places you can get the Jackal token. From there, you can go to the Jackal Protocol dashboard from our website, and you can upload your files, create a storage account, and try it out. And if you have any feedback, please come to our Discord as well. You can also get there from our website, or that's probably the best way to get there is from the website and hop in the Discord. Give us any feedback.
I believe that's your account's in the audience, right? Is that your account? Just making sure it's not a copy.
Yeah, the account is right there. That would be us.
So, okay, great. So make sure you follow those accounts and make sure you follow Patrick. Sorry, Patrick, continue.
No, absolutely. That's pretty much it. Just go to the account, go to our website, and try it out. If you have any questions, come to the Discord. We'll be happy to help as well.
Fantastic, mate. Fantastic. Dan, Justin, same question, guys. Do you have any current campaigns running that you'd like to let everyone know about, or simply how would you best get involved with Serenity Shield?
I do, actually.
We do.
We are in the...
Yeah.
Sorry, Justin. We're in the process... Yeah, no worries, man. So right now we are currently in the process of our test net, and then we're going to be moving to our main net very soon. If we haven't done so already, that's something Justin could answer. But at any rate, we are planning on a full launch very soon. What I would like to do is invite anyone and everyone who is interested to come and participate. Not only would you be helping us to develop our solution better, but you'll also help us to get to the point where we're going to have a fully live solution before we even launch our token, which I think is I can't say we're the first to do it, but the number of projects that have managed to do that is pretty thin indeed. So I'm very excited about what we're about to do. There's a lot of things that we're about to announce that I can't announce yet because, well, let me just drop this. And Justin might give me a hard time for this, but we are in the running for a pretty serious technology award, and we will be announcing that very soon, probably tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, Justin. But at any rate, what I'd like to do is invite anybody who would like to participate to jump on board. Just come to our Telegram, go to our website. Either way, you'll be able to find a way to get involved. You know, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to any of us on the team through Telegram or through Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it today. Because at the end of the day, it's not just words for us. This is a labor of love for us. We are really trying to provide a solution to the. Thanks. It's a our aim is to provide a solution that will work for everybody, and I think that it's something that will work everywhere. So, welcome.
Thank you, guys. And I must say that it is really nice to see, good builders, clearly good builders, being recognized for their work. And I would like to recognize both our primary speakers today, Patrick, in fact, all three, Patrick, Dan, and Justin. So from Jackal Protocol and Serenity Shield, respectively, for being good builders. I'd just like to, recognize that. And it's very nice to be speaking with you today. So I just want to throw it over to Cosmos Hoss or John, depending on if anyone has any very quick questions to finish off with before we wind down.
No, just a reminder, don't do insider trading, kids. Somebody just got, the former OpenSea head of product was sentenced to 3 months of home arrest. So yeah, insider trading bad, confirmed. Yep,
well, there's that for sure. Thank you, John. Yep, don't insider trade. It's a bad habit. Hoss, mate, any final thoughts?
No, my final thoughts is I wanted to thank all the guests. It was very great to hear them. I haven't spoken to them in some time. I know all of them pretty much individually. I think it's very beneficial to maybe re-listen to the space, especially when Patrick was referring to what they're doing over at Jackal. The same with Justin and Dan with Serenity Shield, and also for all the people that always tune in and are working hard during the bear market, take pride of what you're doing, and also the people listening to the recording. All is well. Keep doing your thing. I appreciate everyone as always, and till the next time.
Thank you, Hoss. Quite right, and I couldn't agree more. All right, guys, this has been an absolutely amazing space. Genuinely has. We've had amazing takes, amazing insights from all of our speakers today. So if you have an opinion, or if you'd like a question included in any future space, please make use of our Discord channel. You can find it in the Galactica profile. So you can also find just about everything to do with Galactica from our Discord profile. If you have a question specifically, you want to jump into the AMA questions channel. If you just want more general advice, stick in the general channel. And if you would like to join the Cypher State campaign and get your citizenship passport early, hint, hint, wink, wink. I don't know if that actually works over voice. I'm not sure. But in any case, just join the Cypher State campaign through the Discord. It'll be worth your time. So I'd like to just thank the audience again for coming to listen. If you can check out the pinned tweet at the top, if you are a developer or you know a developer, to check out our Voyager Art campaign. We're just we've put out some RFPs for the campaign, so just things that we will definitely support if you guys want to try building on our DevNet, on our public DevNet that's available right now. We will support you in any way, shape, or form we can. So just check it out. If you know a developer and you can get us in touch, we would be eternally thankful. That'd be great. So yeah, please don't forget to drop a like and a retweet, guys, at the bottom right of this screen on your way out. It really helps us get new people in. Also lets people access the recording for people who can't be here live. There's so many of them right now. We've got quite a growing European contingent and Asian contingent who are just faithfully listening to all of these recordings. So I'm really happy about that. So thank you to our speakers, thank you to the audience, and finally, and as always, I would like to thank you for joining us, everyone. Forward to seeing you on the next episode of Into the Cypher State. See you next time, guys, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, everybody.